kids. I hope there's no kids watching because I've said the C word as well. I apologise. People are eating their tea. Fucking slagging off the government, Christmas, just life in general.
Ricky Gervais has caused a stir on social media by addressing the controversial issue of Keir Starmer's qualifications for running the country. The comedian's takedown on Starmer is considered the most brutal political commentary of the year, and his team is in crisis mode trying to do damage control. Ricky Gervais is not just a random celebrity mouthing off, but he has made a career out of saying what everyone's thinking. The tension is building as people are waiting to see what Ricky Gervais will say. He calls out Starmer for his corruptive nature, which is something new for him. The next pandemic is expected to be like anxiety and depression, as teenagers have had their best years taken away. Ricky Gervais is shining a light on the gap between what Starmer says and what he actually does, which is wider than the English channel. He believes that freedom of movement has gone and that it is not coming back. He also mentions that the media has hurt some people in this city and that he won't be giving interviews to The Sun during his campaign. Ricky Gervais' way of cutting through political BS and getting straight to the point is what people are craving right now. He is not interested in fancy words or political spin, but rather holding Starmer accountable than the actual opposition. This makes him an interesting and effective way to address the issues surrounding the Prime Minister. Ricky Starmer has become the voice of the people, speaking truth to power in a hilarious and brutally honest manner. In today's political climate, it is crucial to remember that politicians once pretended to have principles. This is evident in the Prime Minister's housing situation, where he is renting out his own $2 million home in North London, making between £3,000 and £5,000 a month from it. This is a significant issue, as people are struggling to find affordable places to live in the country. Starmer owns this property in KSH Town for 20 years, bought it back in 2004 for £650,000, and just paid off the mortgage last year. Now, he is sitting on a property worth £2 million thanks to renovations and London's crazy housing market. This trend is not only seen by the Labour Party, but also by other members who are doing similar things, such as renting out properties while living in subsidized housing. The housing hypocrisy exposed by Ricky's roast has hit a nerve with many people, as they are sick and tired of politicians saying one thing and doing another. The main takedown of the housing scandal is about Starmer's love for handouts, such as free football tickets and fancy clothes. Since 2019, Starmer has been gifted over $0.000000 worth of goodies, including nearly £40,000 in football tickets. In conclusion, Ricky's roast exposes the hypocrisy in the Prime Minister's housing situation and highlights the need for politicians to be more transparent and honest in their actions. Ricky, a former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, has been accused of being more interested in personal luxuries than fixing the country's problems. He claims that Prime Minister Tony Starmer has been given gifts from his largest personal donor, Lord Ali, including fancy accommodation, expensive work clothing, and designer glasses. This has led to accusations of breaking the 28-day registration rule for gifts or donations by MPS. Ricky is calling out the hypocrisy and potential conflicts of interest, and people are starting to see Starmer as a politician more interested in perks than principles. He is also going to take another nosedive on Starmer's track record, which includes his promises made during the election. The housing crisis is a major issue, with millions struggling to find affordable places to live. The government's plan to freeze prices will keep them frozen and prevent them from rising.
Naive.
Starmer is
all
renting
my life.
out his own $2.
It's not till now. I just go, why do we trust them? Of course we shouldn't trust the people in charge. That's how they're in charge. They shouldn't be trusted.
Million home, making it out of touch. The migrant crisis has also been a major concern, with over 17,500 migrants reaching Britain since the election. The economy has stagnated, and the government has not raised tax for working people, income tax, national insurance, or VAT. All of their plans are fully costed and funded, and none require tax rises over and above the ones already announced. In conclusion, Ricky's criticism of Prime Minister Starmer highlights his focus on personal luxury luxuries rather than addressing the country's problems. Rick Perry, a former public service minister, has been criticized for his government's focus on keeping donors happy rather than serving the people. He has been accused of putting public services in a difficult position, with many people feeling frustrated and dissatisfied with the government's actions. Perry's government has been criticized for its lack of transparency and accountability, as well as its failure to address the housing and cost of living crises that have arisen. Rick Perry has also been accused of accepting gifts from wealthy donors, which has led to a housing crisis and a cost of living crisis. The Prime Minister has been accused of living in a different world from the rest of the country, with tensions at its peak. Perry has also been accused of making promises about cracking down on illegal immigration during a meeting with the European political community. In response to these criticisms, Perry has revealed that he is not returning to austerity but is working towards growth in the economy. He has also highlighted the importance of stabilizing the economy and addressing the issues faced by the public services sector. Despite these criticisms, Perry continues to push for change and aims to put the country back in the service of working people. He has also highlighted the importance of trusting politicians and the consequences of their actions on the country. The UK government has been accused of smuggling people across borders, with a massive increase in migrants reaching the country since the election. Labour's plans to fix this issue have been met with criticism, with the public questioning their credibility. The scandal over Starmer's tuition fee flip-flops has angered students and families alike. Labour announced plans to increase tuition fees for domestic students in England, raising them to £9,535 per year, starting in 2025 after 8 years of frozen fees. Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson is behind this hike, insisting it is necessary to secure the future of higher education. Syria campaigned in 2020 on abolishing tuition fees, calling the fee system an unfair national scandal. However, the government is now turning his back on students and parents who believed Labour would end the cycle of spiraling student debt. Conservative Party co-chair Nigel Huddleston defended the government's actions, stating that it was just the latest example of Labour in opposition saying one thing and doing another when in power at the cost of students. Labour loyalist Wes Streeting defends Starmer's latest flip-flop as common sense politics, but struggling students find this excuse more like a sellout than a solution. Last week, Labour's Chancellor Rachel Reeves slashed businesses with a massive £5 billion tax hike, while Starmer's pre-election promises to spare working people from tax increases on VAT, national insurance, and income tax have been completely abandoned for a party that vowed to stand for middle-class families. Labour's Green Prosperity Plan, which aims to transform the UK's economy and lead on global sustainability, is starting to look like empty words. The UK is forecasted to finish last out of 38 advanced OECD economies due to conservative choices.
People on each other to make themselves look better. Just best thing is just ignore it. Just ignore it. That's what these people, they want attention. They don't care what it is. It's like these people who go on any march to windows. They don't care about the cause. You know, it's that 5% that brings all good ideas are eventually infiltrated and ruined by a minority. The troll.
And failure. Labour has been championing for months as a way to create new jobs in British industries, such as hydrogen insulation, carbon capture, solar nuclear, and wind power. The UK can achieve clean power generation by 2030, and if we start on this road 10 years ago, we wouldn't be reliant on oil and gas. Renewables are 9 times cheaper, and renewables are 9 times cheaper. This would help us avoid unequal relationships with other countries and address human rights issues. However, Labour has quietly ditched its $28 billion a year green investment pledge, scaling it back by 80%. Instead, Labour rebrands his Green Prosperity Plan as a paltry £44.7 billion per year, blaming the Tories' handling of the economy for this gutting of his environmental promises. Instead, Labour plans to extend the Windfall tax until 2029, targeting the profits of energy firms with a 78% rate. This pattern of Labour promises sweeping change only to U-turn once they're elected, has left the public feeling misled and betrayed. Ricky Gervais has torn Labour's migrant policy to shreds, and the aftermath is massive. The opposition is now quoting Ricky like a political propia, and people are starting to question the government's commitment to understanding ordinary people. Ricky Gervais, a comedian, has been criticized for his ability to hold British politics accountable. He has been criticized for tearing down Prime Minister Keir Starmer, leaving people questioning the true nature of politics. Gervais's ability to make people laugh laugh has led to questions about the politicians' out-of-touchness and the need for comedians to translate their nonsense into something understandable. The comedian's actions have left people wondering what the next steps for Starmer, who is now expected to wake up and start fulfilling his promises. The comedian's ability to cut through political BS is impressive.